spend a lot of my time sitting at my computer typing Word documents, like this one. This is the 4-page flyer for the WINDSSM workshops, as you can see. You can see there that I've used a couple of tables. But here, how did I do that? Well, that's actually a table as well. What I've done is I've hidden all of the grid lines, and now you can see that all of that was in a table and all of that was in a table, and I even used a table inside the header. And I find that tables are a good way to keep text and images on the same horizontal space of the page. So if somebody gives you a document or a template to type into and you're having trouble doing so, not a bad idea to turn on View Grid Lines so you can see the invisible borders between cells of the table. So strap yourself in. Here come some tips and tricks for building tables and working with tables that somebody else has made for you. If you're starting from scratch, the first thing I usually do is go to Layout and Margins and go to Narrow or Moderate so that you have more space on the page. I'm now going to insert a table 8 by 5. If I decide that I didn't really need the last column, I could get that little arrow happening there and click and then right click and delete a column. Likewise over here, I could click and right click and delete a row, or alternatively I could highlight, right click and cut. It's possible to highlight the entire table by clicking on this little thing in the top left hand corner. I can then drag it around the page if I want to. It might be simpler though just to center it on the page by clicking and then centering. I'd like the rows to be higher, so I'm going to click and right click and go to Table Properties and go to Row and specify that they should be 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters in height, and likewise right click Table Properties, Column. I'd like them to be square cells like so. Not a bad way to make grid paper. I'm now typing some text into my cells. I could select the text and highlight the text, or select the cell and use the bucket tool to color in the whole cell. There is an important distinction between highlighting the cells in a row, like so, as opposed to highlighting the entire row. You'll notice that when you've highlighted the entire row, you get this bit on the outside. If I want to center that text horizontally, I have a button here on the toolbar. You might also have a button there for centering vertically, or you might have it here, or you might need to do this. You might need to go to Layout, and there's the one we want. That does the horizontal centering and the vertical centering in one go. You might decide that you want these 2 or 3 cells to be a single cell, so you could merge them. Now we have more room to type text. I'm now going to press Ctrl Z because that wasn't what I really meant to do. What I meant to do was highlight 2 and merge them, and then split those 2 into 3. If I want that to happen down here as well, instead of doing all that again, I could just press F4. I'll just Ctrl Z that. Another option is to press Ctrl Y. Sometimes, rather than merging 2 cells, you might be better off just hiding the border between them. Highlight, right click, little drop down there. Inside vertical border is now hidden. I can still see it though. It won't print, I have view grid lines turned on. If I turn it off, it's invisible, but it's a good idea to leave it on from now on. When you start hiding borders in the table, it's a really good idea to have view grid lines switched on. If I decide to move the border between these two cells, highlight and drag, Control Z. Maybe what I really wanted to do was to move the border between these two columns. Click and drag. It may well be that I want another row the same as this, so I can go click, insert row above. If I click here and go insert row below, it gives me another row the same as that one. If I click here and right click, insert row below, I get another green row. If I want to clear the contents of a row, click and delete. The delete button will clear the contents but leave the row in place. If I want to delete a row, click, right click, delete row. If I decide I would like a copy of this row somewhere else in the table, click, right click, copy, find a new place, click, right click, not a great option. It's that one, insert as a new row, that you probably want. If I decide now to put a copy of this table on the next page, click, right click, copy, click, Control Enter, Control V, that will put a new copy on the next page. Page breaks can be a little bit frustrating. This little guy here tells me that there is a page break at the bottom of the first page, and that's why that table is now on the next page. It also gives me a little bit of information about what's going on inside the table. If I decide that I would like this to be the beginning of a new table so that I can type some text between the table, I've got my cursor there, layout, split table, and now I can do whatever I like. Alternatively, I can put that onto the next page by pressing Control Enter. If I would like to put that into a PowerPoint slide, I can do this and right click and copy and open my PowerPoint slide, but it does things like this. So you want to keep the source formatting is not a bad idea. And then you can adjust the size of it on your PowerPoint slide. Alternatively, what I normally do when I'm creating PowerPoint slides is to use Jing, that's Jing, or the snipping tool to take a picture of my table, paste that into Word. If I then decide I need to edit this, I'd probably prefer to go back to Word anyway, so I have all of the functionality of Word. So I can just click on that and delete it and try again. I find that easier than trying to manipulate a table inside PowerPoint. And finally, it is possible to use Word to put the rows of a table into a numerical order. Highlight, layout, sort by column 1. Okay. Sort by column 2. Okay. Who knows, that might be helpful when we're doing our programs. And last of all, if it's all going very badly, right click, delete the whole table. And don't forget, Control Z will put it back if that's not what you meant to do.